everybody. Recently I made a chicken dish that my mom taught me how to make, and it was the redo recipe. I said I was going to redo it because it was supposed to have like a cup of oil in it, and so I took all the oil out and I redid it. And a few people had asked if I would go ahead and do a demo of the recipe, so that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to make it again tonight, and I'm going to show you how I did it. Very easy, very easy. All right, so number one, I'm going to heat my oven to about 375. All right, and then I am putting some drumsticks, however many you want. I'm going to use 6 of them here for the recipe. And I'm just putting them on some parchment paper because I'm not using any added oil. I'm going to stick them on the a baking sheet, and that's going to go in the oven. I'll figure out how long that they're going to be in there, probably about 45 minutes maybe. And I'm not salting them or anything because they're going to go into the sauce that I'm making. You can take off the skin if you want less fat, or you can leave it on. It's up to you. I normally leave it on because my family doesn't mind it. All right, guys, this is what's going to go into the sauce. It's very easy to make, and notice there is no oil here. Bringing up our points. So we are going to be using about 3 or 4. I'm using 4 little cloves of garlic, either 1 big onion or 2 small ones. I have 2 small ones, 2 cans of tomato sauce, 2 of them. I only have 1 right here, but I need to get another one out of the pantry. All right, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, again kind of low there, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, and then I want to say 2 teaspoons of chili powder, depending on how hot you like it. And then 1 tablespoon of paprika. And I love my smoked paprika from Spain. This is one that I'm going to be using. I just love it. It has an extra smoky taste. And if you ask me, this makes all the difference. But it's still really good without. Last time I made it for my family, I used this one. But when I made it with my mom, I used this one, and oh my goodness, it was just Shazam. It was amazing. All right, now probably about 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, or to taste, because you might not like that much pepper in it, and salt to taste. So I'm not going to tell you how much to put in there. If you want to omit that, that's fine, but I like a little salt in this. Also, I have about 1.5 tablespoons of oregano leaves. If you don't have oregano leaves, you can use Italian seasoning and it would be just fine. My mom does it all the time. All right, so this is it for that, and this is what's going to allow us to not have the oil in our roux and make our roux. I have 1/3 of a cup of rice flour. It's white rice flour. I'm thinking you could probably do the same thing with brown rice flour, but I always use the white rice to thicken, and it works really great, and it's smooth. I also have 1 cup measured out of water here that I'm going to dissolve in with this white rice flour into before I add it to the sauce. So, all right, so let's get started. I almost forgot, this is really important. Cumin. We're going to use like 2 teaspoons of cumin. And that's going to go into the sauce as well. And you're going to use about 1 cup of the chicken broth, bone broth, beef broth, some kind of broth. All right, so I mixed all of these spices together, and I just roughly chopped the onions and the garlic so I can stick them in this little chopper, and I'm going to dice them up. Onions and garlic in this pan here. It's best if you use a non-stick because you're not using, oil. Now, if you don't mind using a tad bit of oil and you just want to spray the bottom of the pan with Pam, then I guess you could do that, or you can water saute them if you want to. But I'm just going to keep moving them until I know they're good and toasted and kind of translucent and real flavorful. It's been about 5 to 7 minutes, and they look nice and tender. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to put in the tomato sauce. I'm going to put in both cans. All right, so I'm just going to mix that in really good, really well with the onions and the garlic. And now I'm going to add in all my spices. My oregano goes in, and all of those other spices. And I think, I ended up doing like 1/4 teaspoon of the black pepper. I just, I was remembering the kids, and I don't think the kids really want it that spicy. So I'm going to stir this for a minute until it heats up and it starts bubbling. All right, now it's starting to bubble, and this is when you're going to add in your broth and just kind of like mix that up, and you're going to heat that up again until it starts to bubble a bit. All right, I probably just added about a half a teaspoon of salt. So I really want all of these flavors to just meld together, and they do. They taste really good. Now my mom usually adds in, extra water, extra bouillon, because she's always cooked for a large family. But I'm finding I don't really feel like I need the bouillon. It's just going to really raise the sodium. And so I'm just going to kind of like leave that out as well. It's really tasty with all of the spices in it. And so I'm just about to thicken it up, because this seems pretty thick, but it's kind of watery, to serve with the chicken. So once I thicken it up, I'm just going to let it, kind of simmer here. And then when the chicken's done, I actually put that in and let that simmer for a bit. But I add cooked chicken to this, not raw chicken. You don't want the raw chicken cooking in this. It's just you won't have any sauce left if you cook it like that. Right, so in another bowl, I'm adding in my rice flour and the water. And what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to take a fork and just whisk it up so that it's all dissolved in here before I add it to the pan. All right, so here's my rice flour here. I'm lowering the heat, and I'm just going to add this a little bit at a time, and I'm going to be using a whisk to whisk it up as it thickens. Now, as it thickens, as I saw here, you might find that you need to add a little bit more water so that it doesn't become too thick. And go for whatever consistency you're happy with. So I just added a little bit more water. I can feel it's kind of heavy, which is kind of nice, but if it thickens up anymore, I'm going to have to add a little bit more water to it. That's kind of nice. See, that's really nice. All right, I'm going to put it on simmer real low and just cover it, because my chicken is not yet ready to be put in. It's got about 10 more minutes cooking in the oven. All right, so I checked the temperature of the chicken, and it's thoroughly cooked inside, and it keeps about 165 degrees at the thickest part for about 15 seconds. And so it's cooked. At this point, you could actually serve it like this, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mix it into the sauce, and I'm going to cover it, raise the heat just a little bit, and let it simmer in this sauce here so that all the flavors just kind of like stick to the chicken, and it just kind of like melds together. Look at that. Isn't that a lovely dish? It's so pretty, and it smells so good. It's super tasty.